hate to do this to you, kitty, but it's time to make a video, which means it's time to get out of your comfy spot. It's funny, she loves cuddling, but she doesn't like when I try to kiss her. Look. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, we're going to be talking about indecisiveness and why it's so hard to make decisions. So, what exactly is indecisiveness? I define indecisiveness as a lack of confidence in your decision making. So what happens when we're indecisive is we often procrastinate over making decisions. This is because we want to ensure that we make the right decision. The problem is that we never make a decision. So procrastinating making decisions or stressing over trying to make the right decisions, what this ultimately leads us to is inaction or making decisions we don't actually resonate with. So, why are we indecisive? There are many factors playing into our indecisiveness, but these are the primary four that I see. 1, fear of missing out. Oftentimes when we're trying to make a decision, we see the validity in both options, and we're so afraid of making one option in fear that we're going to miss out on all of the benefits of the opposing or opposite decision. Let's say, for example, there's 2 ice creams in your freezer. There's mint chocolate chip and there's peanut butter chocolate swirl. Both impeccable options. So you open up the freezer, you're looking at these ice creams and you're like, ooh, the mint chip would be really good and refreshing. Oh, but I don't want to miss out on that delicious peanut butter and the other one. Oh, but the way that the mint chips melt in your mouth and that mint chip ice cream is, oh, so good. You see the validity in both options and you see how both of them can benefit you, but you're really trying to figure out which one you want because you don't want to miss out on the good of the other one. The second reason we're indecisive is because we have a fear of making the wrong decision. When we have the fear of making the wrong decision, it's because we're out of the belief that we are the creators of our reality. We're out of the belief that we're able to make this world what we want it to be. We're so scared of making the wrong decision because we almost believe that we're going to get stuck in that decision. So in the ice cream example, oh, if I choose the mint chip and I make a whole bowl of ice cream for myself, I'm stuck having to eat this bowl of ice cream and I can't go back. When in reality, technically, what you could do is place that bowl of ice cream back in the freezer and get a scoop of the other ice cream that you want. So the reason I'm saying this is because we get so scared of making the wrong decision and getting stuck in that decision and there's no turning back. I think it's important to remember that you will always make the decision that you have the most to learn from. This doesn't mean it's going to feel the best. This doesn't mean it's going to be favorable in terms of your experience, but it could be ultimately, in the grand scheme of your life, what leads you to the highest possible outcome. You're going to make the decision that is going to help you learn what you need to right now based off of where you are in your life. Number 3, we've relied on others to make decisions for us. So indecision is actually a trauma response. We're trying to ensure that we make a decision that everybody's comfortable with in order to avoid conflict. This is often because in our childhood, we didn't trust ourselves to make decisions. When we made decisions in our own best interests or followed our gut, we often were shamed or made to feel like that wasn't a good decision by the people around us. We were expected to put others' needs before our own because putting our needs first was not favorable in our family dynamic or in the peer dynamics we were in, etc. So we seek comfort in relying on others to approve of our decisions or to make our decisions for us. And while it is certainly not a bad thing to seek advice from people who are very decisive, at the same time, it can lead to a place where we are not standing in our power and we almost become a pawn for the people around us, for them to influence us to make the decisions that actually benefit them and do not benefit us, even if they think it's what's best for you. Number 4, different parts of you have different wants and needs. This is why it is so important to do shadow work and inner child work. If you haven't checked out my video on shadow work yet, go check it out. It's a good video. So basically, we are created with certain wants and needs. But in our childhood, if we were taught that certain desires that we had were bad or selfish, then we learn to suppress those aspects of us. When we don't meet the needs of our shadow self, we often go against our own best interests. So it's important to ask yourself, how are you staying safe in inaction? In the fight, flight, fawn response, I find that indecision is often when we have a freeze or fawn response where we kind of just stand there and we're like, I'm just gonna let the situation pass and not really do anything so that there's not conflict and so I don't rock the boat. The reason it's important to integrate and accept your shadow self is so that you can feel empowered to get your needs met more directly. Let's say, for example, you're seeing someone and they ask you out. So consciously, you may want to be in this relationship, but there's another aspect of you that craves independence. And you are fearful that getting into this relationship would actually be giving up your power and giving up your sovereignty. So you're kind of stuck in this place of indecision because you're trying to reject the needs of the aspect of you that wants that autonomy and sovereignty. So instead of communicating with this person and setting clear boundaries as to how you want to remain autonomous over your life and your decisions, you self-sabotage the relationship so that you don't have to be put in that position. And then later, you're almost like kicking yourself in the foot, thinking, God, why did I not get into that relationship when I really liked them? I wanted to be with that person. It's because of the fact that you were rejecting certain needs and not looking at them, so that aspect of yourself acted unconsciously in order to push them away. So again, it's a response to keep you safe. So now that we know why we're indecisive and what indecisiveness is, it's time to talk about how we cure indecision or how we deal with indecision. These are the 5 tips that have worked for me. 1, stop overthinking. I know this is so much easier said than done. When we're overthinking, it's because our logical mind is trying to figure out what the objective right decision is. The thing is, there's no such thing as an objectively right decision. The right decision is always subjective. So when you are overthinking and creating this giant pros and cons list in your head and trying to logically weigh out what is better and worse, it's not helping. So again, I am not telling you to walk into this blind. It's good to be aware. What I'm telling you is to take a step back from this back and forth between the two decisions, where you're getting swung one way and then the other, and you're just so overwhelmed with like, ah! Release the idea of there being a right or wrong decision. The decision you make will always be the decision that you have the most to learn from. Even if that seems like the lower vibrational choice, there's a reason that you are making that decision that's out of alignment with you, and making that decision is a perfect opportunity for you to learn more about the aspect of yourself that is going against your own best interests. What overthinking leads to is making reluctant decisions so that you end up not getting the most out of whatever decision you make. Let's say, for example, you get into 2 colleges. One is in New York and one is in LA. You're going back and forth between each decision. Oh, I love New York. I love the subway. Oh, but I really want to go to LA. It's so warm there. The weather's great. And because you're making this decision with your overthinking brain, let's say you end up going to New York in this example. Instead of fully embracing the fact that you're in New York, instead of fully enjoying and loving what you can and learning from that particular circumstance, part of you is stuck there like, oh, dang it, I really should have gone to LA. The cold weather sucks. The subway's disgusting. In LA, I would have been able to go to the beach and it's so nice and warm. And basically what's happening is part of you is stuck in LA. You're splitting your reality. You're living in 2 separate worlds, one in which you're in New York and the other in which you're in LA. So you're not really present with the decision you made. Instead, you're wishing that things were different. But the fact of the matter is, you're in New York now, so instead of wishing that you were somewhere else, embrace where you are. But when we make decisions reluctantly, this is a lot more difficult to do because we're not confident in our decisions. We're not owning our decisions. Number 2, stop asking others to make decisions for you. It's certainly good to get advice and insight from other people, but don't take this too far. Most of us who are indecisive have really relied on others to approve of our decisions, to feel comfortable in making whatever decision we want to make. It's so important that you learn to be okay with making decisions without the approval of others. Especially with the people who are closest in your life, they always have a bias in the decisions you make because your decisions are going to affect them. For example, let's use the example of New York, and let's say your mom lives an hour away. You actually want to go to LA, even though you could see the validity and why New York would be awesome for you. But your mom really urges you to go to New York because she wants you to be close to home. And so if you only make the decision to go to New York because that's the decision that your mom approves of, then you're not making your own decisions and you're actually disempowering your belief in yourself. I'm not saying don't take other people's needs and wants into account, but if you are self-sacrificing your own best interests for the sake of making someone else more comfortable when this is your life decision, the harsh reality is sometimes the best decision for you is the decision that nobody else wants you to make. Believe me, I know better than anybody that relying on others to make decisions for us or having the approval of other people in the decisions that we do make is incredibly safe. But your life decisions are yours to make. And I know that there's a fear that if you make a decision that they don't like and then things don't pan out the way that you wanted them to, it's almost like an I told you so. And that sucks. You do not want to be in that decision, and likely you feel like in that circumstance there's going to be even more of a pressure to listen to them. You have to be okay with things not going the way that you expect. Sometimes the most intuitive decisions we make are going to lead to some of the most painful outcomes. But it's important to ask yourself, are you trying to avoid feeling pain throughout all of your life decisions, or are you trying to create the reality you want? Because I assure you, creating the reality you want is going to involve pain, because pain is one of our greatest teachers. So I know there's a lot of safety in relying on others to approve of or make our decisions for us. But the fact of the matter is, other people, especially those who we're closest to, have their own best interests in the decision you make. And even though consciously they may not be aware that they're trying to influence you in a direction that is best for them, it's going to happen no matter what. Number 3, follow your highest excitement. The reason this point is so great is because it really helps us with learning how to decipher what our intuition is. Fear blocks your intuition, not because it makes the intuition go away, but because the fear clouds your intuition. It is so hard to decipher between what am I actually excited about and what am I scared about. And a lot of times, it's the same. A lot of times, the scariest decision is the intuitive decision. Oftentimes, my indecisiveness will lead me to scroll my phone for hours. This is kind of like a safe space to go when I don't know what to do. Maybe I want to meditate, maybe I want to clean my house, but all of these decisions may be a little bit daunting to me for some reason. Maybe I'm like, oh, well, I don't want to sit there and do nothing meditation. Oh, I'll just look at my phone. And then I forget about it, right? So you can almost use this as a wake-up call. You're scrolling on your phone and you're like, wait a minute, I don't actually want to do this. This is just like safe and easy. What do I actually want to do right now? The less you listen to your fear, the less your fear comes up, because you're teaching your fear that it's not serving you in this way. And the more you listen to your intuition, the stronger it gets, because you're, again, telling the intuition that it does serve you and you do want to listen to it. So at first, when you're making these decisions, you're not going to really know what your intuition is saying because it's so clouded. So going in the direction of following your highest excitement and being like, oh, I really do want to get this done. Okay, fuck it. Let's do it. I know I'm uncomfortable. I know a part of me is resisting it, but I'm going to show myself that I can do this. And that builds trust with yourself. I'm serious. It's fucking beautiful. And as I said, anxiety and excitement can easily get enmeshed together and you don't even... Right? I'm sure you relate. I relate to myself. Duh. Sometimes your intuition is going to lead you in the direction of pain. This is not because the universe is punishing you. This is not because you made the wrong decision. This is because of the fact that pain is a teacher. And sometimes we have to experience pain in order to get to what we want. Pain is how we see these rejected aspects of ourselves. And so when you learn to accept pain and embrace pain and allow it to be your teacher, not only do you transmute that pain, but you learn to be comfortable with it. And therefore, when you make decisions from here on out, you are going to be so much less fearful about making the wrong decision, because you know that if you're following your gut and if you're following your intuition, it's the right decision for you. Number 4, ask yourself what pain you are most willing to experience. You're probably already doing this. The pain that at least your unconscious mind is most willing to experience is that of inaction. And then of course what happens is your life circumstances are going to be dependent on other people, are going to be dependent on your environment. Inaction and not making a decision is a decision. It's not a bad thing to not make a decision, but the thing is, are you doing so consciously because you feel that that is in your highest good? Or are you doing so from a place of fear? All choices have a give and take. All choices have a positive and negative. What choice makes the negative worth it? Let's go back to the example of someone asks you out and you're not sure whether you want to get into this relationship or not. And let's say the reason you're so scared to get into this relationship is because you're so fearful around the fact that if this relationship ends, that's going to be incredibly painful. Or you can end the relationship now before you've developed more feelings, and that's still going to be painful. But what decision do you feel makes the pain worth it? Is that getting into a relationship and building a bond with someone and learning more about one another? Or is that being on your own and learning better how to support yourself by yourself and experiencing the pain of letting go of that person now? What decision makes the pain worth it? And last but certainly not least, number 5, listen to all of your needs, even if they contradict. When we're really indecisive, one or both or all decisions will evoke a feeling of fear in us. But this fear or this anxiety is not coming up for no reason. It's because there's different aspects of us that have opposing wants and needs, or seemingly opposing wants and needs in this moment. There's aspects of you that are banging heads and fighting against each other, and it makes it feel impossible to make a decision because you really are torn. A part of you hates decision A and feels like they need to go to decision B, and another parts of you hates decision B and feels like they need to go to decision A. So really dig into why you want to make each decision. Going back to the college example with your mom, part of you is like, I need to go to New York because I have to be close to my family. Okay, why are you afraid of being far away from your family? Well, if I go against their wants and if I'm far away, then I'm going to lose connection with them. Why is it so bad to lose connection with your family? Because if I don't have connection with them, I'm going to be all alone. If I lose connection with them, that means it's true that I am worthless and I am not good enough, and then nobody can love me. So there's that aspect of you that feels unloved and that aspect of you that needs connection. And so you have to ask yourself, am I willing to give up who I am to be loved for being a version of myself that my family wants me to be? And if the answer is yes, that's okay. But you have to ask yourself those questions and dig into those deeper layers if you want to really be sure about the decision you're making and why you're making that decision. And then there's another aspect of you is like, no, I really do want to go to LA and I actually don't even want to be near my family. Okay, why don't you want to be near your family? Well, because I want to feel autonomous in making my own decisions. I want to feel empowered because I want to show myself that I am capable of making my own decision and I am capable of doing what's best for me. So again, both of these aspects of you have conflicting desires. Is there a way for you to meet the desires of one of them so that you feel confident in making a decision? So for example, if you really end up choosing to go to LA, how can you prove to yourself that you have connection outside of your family, and how can you love yourself unconditionally so that you do feel empowered going to LA instead of feeling like you need to dig in your heels to make this decision that might rock the boat? Or vice versa, how can you ensure that you go to New York and stand in your power and continue to be autonomous in making your own decisions, so you're making this decision from your own power rather than from just doing what your family wants? And this is not going to be done by covering up all of those thoughts with, well, I do like New York because pizza and Subways and yeah. Like, don't lie to yourself. Be honest. Whatever honest decision feels right to you, if you really do the shadow work and dig into the reasons beneath why you want to make each decision, it's going to be a lot easier to follow your truth. So ask yourself, which aspect of yourself is trying to keep you safe? And which aspect of yourself is trying to help you stand in your truth? This doesn't mean that the aspect of your psyche that's trying to keep you safe is wrong, but it's important to ask yourself why there's fear there, so that if this is the right decision, you're making it from a place of love instead of making it from a place of fear. Because sometimes the same decision can feel very different and lead to very different outcomes depending on your intention and why you're making that decision. Okay? It is so important that you realize that you can't unneed something. Our need for love and connection as human beings, our like primary emotional need is to belong, is the reason why almost everybody on this planet isn't their authentic selves. Because we live in a world where certain needs are good and certain needs are bad. People become unconscious of their own needs. They deny it within themselves because their society or their family told them that those wants and needs are wrong. And so when they see someone else who has those needs, specifically children, because they are pure expression and they're not editing themselves yet, they teach that kid, no, you can't have those needs are wrong, those needs are selfish, because I see those needs as selfish, because I reject those needs in myself. At the end of the day, sometimes making a decision is just about making it. It's okay if you make that decision from a place of fear, but just be aware of the fact that that's what you're doing. Don't be hard on yourself about it. Every decision will come with decisions to make afterwards. So even if you make a decision that's not in alignment with you, you are never going to be stuck in one road. Don't see a decision as an entrapment in a certain reality. You can always change course. Probably the reason you feel like you'll be stuck in that reality is because of the fact that you are so indecisive and you know that you'll probably be stuck in a place of inaction there, and therefore you will be stuck. But the more you consciously make decisions, the more that you will be able to see that you have the ability to create your reality. Thank you for watching this video. Please like if you liked it, subscribe for more content like this, hit that notification bell if you want them updates, because I'm uploading videos every Wednesday. Thank you, I love you, have a good day.